गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनं श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुस्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मेऽस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Dear friends, in the last class we completed the fourth mantra, that is Pratibodha Viditam Matam. We completed the Bhashyam and we also read the fifth mantra. We just read out the mantra and then I explained the say word by word meaning of that mantra. So in the fourth mantra, that is Pratibodha Viditam Matam, we saw, or rather the Upanishad told as to how one has to notice Brahman. How one has to notice Brahman in every cognition. Pratibodha Viditam. In every cognition, you have to notice it as the Pratyagatma of that cognition, as the very nature, as the very underlying principle, as the underlying self of that particular cognition. So that is what we were told. Pratibodha Pratyagatmataya Viditam. So that is how Shankaracharya explained that say samasa called Pratibodha Viditam. So we completed that Bhashyam. Then we also read this mantra, the fifth mantra. Iha chedavedi datha satyamasti nachedihavedin mahati vinashtihi bhuteshu bhuteshu vichitya dhiraha pretyasmallokad amruta bhavanti. So that is what we read. I explained the meaning also, because it is like this. The mantra says you have to know that Brahman here. You can't postpone it. There is no question of postponing. If you know it here, then you will have a great benefit. If you do not, if you cannot realize it now, you are facing a mighty loss. And that mighty loss is you have to perennially continue in this wheel of this samsara. This human life is a golden opportunity for anybody to make or mar his own fortune, as we say. It is not a question of fortune in literal, say material sense now. It is a fortune in terms of Brahma Jnana. So here it is the only chance for you to say do some good things and then purify your mind. And once you purify your mind, then your mind becomes fit enough for the Shravana, Marana, Nidhyasana. Of course, human Janma, when I say human Janma, this is the only place, Karma Bhumi. Karma Bhumi means the level, or Bhumi does not refer to the ground. Bhumi refers to the stage, a particular stage. So when I say that, when the Upanishad says, not Upanishad, when the tradition, Vedanta says that say this human Janma is a Karma Bhumi, it means that it is the stage where a person can do some good things. By doing some good things, he will achieve some Chitta Shuddhi. That is, good things means Karma Yoga, Bhakti, Upasana, Dhyanam. All these are strategies which we have seen in Bhagavad Gita also. So all these strategies, they will lead you to, they will give you Chitta Shuddhi. And it is only when you have that Chitta Shuddhi, that is a precondition. It is a sort of proviso. Unless you have that, you are not fit enough to attain that Brahma Jnana. You are not fit enough to listen to that Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasana. If you are having an agitated mind, if your mind is full of raga, dvesha, etc., etc., your mind is not fit enough. Your mind is not, say, it is not prepared. Not fit enough, we can't say fit enough, it is not prepared. First of all, it is not prepared. If some teacher is talking Vedanta, it will just fly above our head because you are thinking about your enemy, you are thinking about what you want, you are thinking about your lady love, whatever it is. So when our mind is fully preoccupied with something else, the Lord cannot enter, Brahma cannot enter. Brahma can enter only when the mind is totally free. So that is what this mantra says, and the Bhashyam also says. So let us read the Bhashyam. Iha eva ched manushyaha अधिकृतः समर्थः सन् यदि अवेदीत्
यदि अवेदी
आत्मानं यथोक्तलक्षणं विदितवान्
आत्मानं यथोक्तलक्षणं विदितवान्
यथोक्तेन प्रकारेण
यथोक्तेन प्रकारेण
अथ तदा
अथ तदा
अस्ति सत्यम्
अस्ति सत्यं
मनुष्यजन्मनि अस्मिन्
मनुष्यजन्मनि अस्मिन्
अविनाशः अर्थवत्ता वा सद्भावो वा
अविनाशः अर्थवत्ता वा सद्भावो वा
परमार्थता वा सत्यं विद्यते.
सत्यं विद्यते.
So the line, Upanishadic line is iha chedavedid atha satyamasti. If one has realized it here, avedit means avedit is past tense. If one has realized this here, atha satyamasti, satyam. So for this word satyam, Shankaracharya is giving 3 or 4 meanings. So let us see this. Iha eva means here itself, that is in this human janma. Chet means if in this human life itself, manushyaha adhikrutaha means an adhikari and adhikruta are one and the same. Adhikruta means one who is not ordained, one who is fit enough. Adhikari also means the same thing. Adhikruta is a slightly different usage. So adhikari, a person who becomes an adhikari is a adhikruta. He is qualified. So that is in that sense. So how is a man qualified for this Brahmajnana? He has to have that sadhana chatushtaya. That is the prayer requirement which we have seen in earlier bhashyams, Gita Bhashya, Kathopanishad and all that we have seen, sadhana chatushtaya. What is that? That is, the first thing is discrimination, nitya, anitya, vastu, viveka. That is, what is eternal and what is non-eternal, that sort of discrimination between that. Then the second one is iha amutra phalabhoga viragaha, dispassion. You should not bother either for this world or the other worlds. Iha amutra. Amutra means heavenly. So that means dharma, artha and kama. All the 3 are struck off. Dharma, artha and kama. Dharma, purushartha is, it is something which will give you heaven. So there also you are not interested. You are not interested in all these heavenly pleasures and all that. You are not interested in worldly pleasures. So iha amutra phalabhoga viragaha. Then shamadhi shatka sampatti, shama, dama, etc. All that wealth, spiritual wealth, that is what is required. Then what is the last one is mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam is the desire, mokshe ichha, the great desire for liberation. You should be pining for that liberation. So these 4 are very much required. So such a person is called samartha. He is called adhikrutaha. He is the adhikari. So samartha means a person who is well equipped with all these things. Samartha son. Yadi avedit, if one has realized, atmanam yathokta lakshanam. Yathokta lakshanam means what has been defined above. Yatha ukta lakshanam. That is what has been defined above. How? That is what the Shruti said. What is it? Shrotrasya shrotram, manaso manoyaha, chakshusas chakshuhu. The eye behind the eye, the ear behind the ear, the mind behind the mind, and then how it has to be realized. So initially the Upanishad gave a description of what it is, and then how it has to be realized. It told in the last mantra, that is Pratibodha Viditam. So it has told about what is that supreme reality or supreme Brahman, and it has also told us how we have to attain it. So the Upanishad has very clearly said. So that is that yathokta lakshanam viditavan yathoktena prakarena. Yathoktena prakarena. That is, in the said manner. You should not have any confusion in that. You have to understand it in the way it has been described in the Upanishad. Yatha uktena prakarena. That is pratyaya pratyagatmataya viditam. You have to understand it as the pratyagatma, the very inner self of every cognition. So that is it. Then atha means tada, then asti satyam. What is this satyam? Then you are having this satyam. Then what is this satyam? Manushya janmani asmin. Manushya janmani asmin means asmin manushya janmani, in this human life. In this human life, avinashaha. Avinashaha means something which is indestructible. Vinasha is destruction. Indestructibility. Avinashaha, that is permanence. That means you are realizing that Atman, which is ajara amara. You are realizing yourself, your own self, as that pure consciousness. which is neither born nor dies. So that is what is avinashi. That awareness itself is giving you that sense of avinashi. You are realizing that the body-mind complex may have this sort of say fall. The death is only for the body-mind complex and not for the Atma. It is not for the consciousness. It is not for that eternal consciousness. So that is what is that is how he has realized. So from that realization, this avinashaha, then arthavattava. Arthavatta means the meaningfulness. You are having that meaningfulness in life. Otherwise, the life is meaningless. If you do not realize that, and if you are like a blind, say, when we say in Telugu, guddeddu, something like that, a blind bull going in a beaten path. It's not like that. Otherwise, a human being will be just going like a blind bull on a beaten path. So here it is arthavatta. Unless you realize the Brahman, there is no arthavatta. Life is not meaningful. Arthavatta means meaningfulness. Arthavattava. Sadbhavova. Sadbhavaha. Sat Swarupa, you are in your own Sat Swarupa. You are always that you Sat and Chit Swarupa. So that is what is Sadbhava. In that Bhava means in that particular say status. Sadbhava means in the status of being Sat. Sat means ever existent, undecaying, unperishing, avyaya, ajara, all those definitions, all those adjectives you apply. Sadbhavova, Paramarthatava. Paramarthata is that you are not in this vyavahara level, you are at that absolute level. Paramarthata, you are at that absolute level, you are that supreme Brahman, at that absolute level you are existing. Paramarthatava satyam. So for this word satyam, he says, one is avinasha, that is indestructibility, then arthavatta, meaningfulness, sadbhava, remaining as that sat, which never dies, which never decays, and then paramarthata, that is that absolute level. You are talking at an absolute level. So that sort of thing, vidyate, he knows, he attains that. Then nachediha ved iti, let us read. Nachediha vedid iti.
Nachediha vedid
iti. Nachet iha. Jivasched adhikrutaha.
Jivasched adhikrutaha.
Avedit na viditavan. Though this avedit, this na has to be added to this avedit. Na avedit na viditavan. Avedit does not say viditavan, na viditavan. Avedit simply says viditavan. Na avedit is na viditavan. Then tada mahati dirgha ananta vinashtihi.
Mahati dirgha ananta vinashtihi.
Vinashanam. Janma jara maranadi prabandha vichcheda lakshana samsara gatihi.
Janma jara maranadi sambandha vichcheda lakshana samsara gatihi.
Okay, your book says sambandha. Janma maranadi prabandha. Yeah, my book says prabandha. Prabandha vichcheda lakshana samsara gatihi. There is one patantara which says prabandha vichcheda lakshana. Prabandha avichcheda lakshana. There you have to give the meaning in a different way. If it is prabandha vichcheda, you have to construe it in a slightly different way. But the meaning will be same. Meaning will be same in from two different directions. Okay, nachediha vedit. If a person means same thing, adhikrutaha, a person who is the very fact that you are having a human janma, it means that you have that potential. You have not reached your potential. You have that potential, but you have not reached your potential. So that is what it is. Adhikrutaha. Na avedit chet, na aveditavan. If he has not realized, if he has not known, then tada mahati dirgha ananta vinashtihi. So dirgha, mahati, mighty, dirgha, that is very, very long, say line of births and deaths. Long means here, what is long? The long line of births and deaths. So that is a very big, so it is a big conveyor belt like thing which is going on. You are just coming and going and coming and going and coming and going. So that is a dirgha. Ananta vinashtihi. Vinashti means loss, nashta. We know the word nashtam. So this, say this vinashtihi, then vinashanam. What is that vinashanam? Janma, jara, maranadi, prabandha. There is one, some sort of scheme. What is that scheme? There is a person is born, janma. Then he grows old, jara. Then he dies, marana, adi. you can imagine all this growing up and then all this decaying, all this Shadbhava, Vikara, we can imagine. Janma Jara Maranadi Prabandha, this whole structure or scheme, that Prabandha Vicheda Lakshana, that Prabandha is there. Then Vicheda means to destroy that Prabandha. Prabandha, all this Prabandha is destroyed. Janma Jara Maranadi Prabandha. I feel that Prabandha Avicheda Lakshana is a better pathantaram, better patha, because Prabandha Avicheda means this Prabandha or this particular structure will never get demolished. Prabandha Vicheda Lakshana, it is rather difficult to say. Prabandha Avicheda Lakshana Samsara Gatihi. So this Prabandha, this whole structure of this Janma, Jara, Marana, etc., etc. Prabandha means a structure, a scheme. All this scheme, Avicheda Lakshana Samsara Gatihi. This Avicheda Lakshana, this Samsara Gati is characterized by, Avicheda Lakshana means that which is characterized by. Lakshana means a definition. Lakshana that is characterized by, it can be defined as, so that is how we have to say that. Say the Samsara Gati can be defined as, Samsara Gati is characterized by this, what? That is an indestructible Avicheda, an indestructible this scheme called Janma, Jara, Marana. Avicheda, I will also correct my text. Better to say Prabandha Vicheda Lakshana Samsara Gatihi. Okay. Next, Tasmad Evam Gunadoshav Vijananto Brahmanaha Bhuteshu Sarvabhuteshu Sthavareshu Chareshu Cha Ekam Atmatattvam Brahma Vichitya Vijnaya Sakshatkritya Dhiraha Dhimantaha Pretya Vyavrutya Mama Ahambhava Lakshanad Avidya Rupat Asmat Lokat Uparamya Sarvatmaika Bhavam Advaitam Apannaha Apannas Santaha Amruta Bhavanti Brahmaiva Bhavanti Ityarthaha. So this Bhashyam is again repeating what was told again in say the Pratibodha Viditam. So what should a wise person do? So that is what the last para says. Tasmat, therefore, Evam Gunadoshav Vijananto Brahmanaha. Brahmanaha means those who are keen in Brahmajnana, those who want to know Brahman, they are the Brahmanaha. So Brahmani Rataha, Brahmacharyam Kurvanaha. So that is what it means. So those people who are in this Brahmacharya, those people who know the Gunadoshav Vijanantaha. So those people who know quite well, Vijanantaha means they know quite well what Gunadoshav, Guna and Dosha, the merits and demerits, that is Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, Viveka, all that thing they know pretty well. So Gunadosha Vijanantaha. Then what are they supposed to do? Bhuteshu Sarva Bhuteshu Sthavareshu Chareshu Cha. So this Bhuteshu, it is almost the same as Pratibodha Viditam. Pratibodha is every cognition. Bhuteshu means in every being. Every being, when I talk about a being, it is a cognition, isn't it? So, and what are those Bhuteshu? Bhuteshu, Sarva Bhuteshu, Sthavareshu, Chareshu Cha. Sthavara is immobile, Chareshu, mobile. That is Sthavara, Jangama, we say. That is sentient and insentient, in whatever manner we say. In all these things, what is it we are supposed to see? We are supposed to distinguish that unchanging reality in all these things. Bhuteshu Vichitya. You have to see that unchanging reality in all these things. In all these things, we have got these five aspects called Asti Bhati Priyam Nama Rupa, isn't it? Asti Bhati Priyam Rupam Nama Chet Yamsha Panchakam, isn't it? So in all these five, you have to retain only this Asti Bhati Priyam. This Nama Rupa you have to reject. So that is what we are supposed to do. In all this Pratibodha Viditam also, it says you catch catch hold of this Sat and Chit, and then leave this Nama Rupa. This Satta, Spurana, these are two words which we come across in Vedanta several times. For example, if you see this, what is this, Manasollasa, which is a commentary on Dakshinamurti Stotram. Dakshinamurti Stotram, of course, is by Shankaracharya. There is one Vartika, a very detailed Vartika written by, say, Sureshwaracharya. It is called Manasollasa Vartika. So that is about roughly about 400, say, verses. So on each, say, verse by Shankaracharya, you know that Dakshinamurti Stotram is having only about 10, say, verses. So on each verse, approximately about 40, say, Vartikas have been written by Sureshwaracharya. And then this Sureshwaracharya's Vartikam, it frequently refers to this Satta Spuranam. Satta Spuranam, these two words are commonly used by him. So Satta Spuranam is the same thing, Sat and Chit. Satta is existence, Spuranam is intelligence, Sat and Chit. So these two things you hold on. Leave the Nama Rupa. You dismiss the Nama Rupa, reject the Nama Rupa. So that is what here it is said by Shankaracharya. Bhuteshu Bhuteshu Sarva Bhuteshu Sthavareshu Jangachareshu cha Ekam Atma Tattvam Brahma Vichintya. So this is one Atma Tattvam. This one Atma Tattvam which is just untouched by any samsara dharma, which is untouched by any of these qualities, any of the attributes of this samsara. So that underlying principle, that underlying unchanging principle, so you have to Vichitya. Vichitya means Vijnaya. Vijnaya, that is having known it well. Vijnaya, having known it well. Sakshat Krutya. Sakshat Krutya means you have to know it as your own self. Sakshat. It has to be immediate. It has to be immediately known. Sakshatkara means you have to immediately know that. Not indirectly, not at an intellectual level, but you have to know as your own immediate thing, your own immediate nature. Sakshat Krutya. Then again we are getting the word Dhiraha. This word Dhira I explained several times. Dhiyam Rati iti Dhiraha. That is one who distances himself from his Buddhi Vritti. Dhiyam Rati Grunhati iti Dhiraha, isn't it? One who can distance himself from his Buddhi Vritti and look at that Buddhi Vritti as a Sakshi. So he is a Dhira. Dhiraha Dhimantaha. Then Pretya. So all these words are very significant words. This Pretya also is a significant word. Pretya means pra plus itya. That is etya. Pra plus etya. Etya. That is not pra plus itya only. Then that is having departed from some place, whatever it is. What does it mean, Pretya? Pretya means from this body, Shankaracharya is going to write Vyavrutya. That is, Vyavrutya means you distance yourself from this body-mind complex. You have not departed. The life has not gone. He is very much alive. But then you have departed from the body. You have distanced yourself from the body-mind complex. That is what is the meaning of Pretya. Pretyasma, Pretya. Then Vyavrutya. Then he is also explaining for our benefit. Mama ahambhava lakshanad avidya rupad Vyavrutya. So that is having got out of this feeling. What is that notion? Mama ahambhava lakshanad avidya rupat. So this avidya rupam, it is a manifestation of that ignorance. It is a manifestation of that avidya. What? Aham mama. This aham mama is a manifestation because of ignorance. After all, this Chaitanyam is the only thing which is manifesting everywhere. And then if you can recognize yourself as the Chaitanyam, as that unchanging Chaitanya, then that is what is Atma Jnana. If you are not able to realize that, and if you attribute something called I, suddenly the Chaitanyam, a particular chunk of Chaitanyam, let us say, just for visualization, because Chaitanyam cannot be quantified like Akasha. So it is like Akasha. So suppose the particular Chaitanya, there is a notion that I. So that I, Aham and Mama, these are things which are attributed to that Chaitanya. So this is what is Ajnana. So that is what he says. So Pretya Vyavrutya means Mama Aham Bhava Lakshanad Vyavrutya. So you have to get out of this notion called I and mine. It is only then that a person is, he can be called a wise man. So such a man, then Asmat Lokad Uparamya, and having departed from this world. So it can also literally mean, we can take it literally or figuratively also. Literally means after the fall of the body. Figuratively means you may be in the loka, but then you are out of the loka. You are in it and out of it. So it is like that. You are in it and out of it. So that sort of situation. Asmad lokadu paramya sarvatmaika bhavam advayam apannas santaha. So all this is possible only when you are still in this loka, in the physically. It is on figuratively. You have to understand that you have distanced yourself from this body mind, distanced yourself from this loka. That is the pretya. Then sarvatmaika bhavam. Then you have to see this Atman everywhere, in every being. Sarvatmaika bhavam. In every being, you have to, everywhere, all around, you have to see this Atma. Atma means this Chaitanya. What is there in you? The same thing is there outside. So, sarvatmaika bhavam, advaitam, that is the non-dual, it is the one and the same Atma which is there everywhere. So, that sort of notion, that sort of awareness, not notion. Notion again implies a particular thinking person. There is no thinking person also. He is in that state of awareness. Advayam apannaha, you have to attain that stage. Apannaha means those who have attained that stage. Advayam apannas santaha. Apannas santaha, having attained that stage, apannas santaha, amruta bhavanti. They are said to be the people who are, who have become immortal, because they are the people who have realized this sat and chit wherever they see. And then this is again, it is very, very close to what we read in, say, Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, najayate mriyate va kadachit. So all these things very closely related to this same idea. Sarvatmaika bhavam advayam apannas santaha amruta bhavanti. Then what is the meaning of amruta bhavanti? Brahmaiva bhavanti. Brahmaiva bhavati, isn't it? So that is what he is quoting from this next Mundakopanishad. Let us read. Sayoha vai tat param brahma veda brahmaiva bhavati iti shrutehe. Okay. Sa yoha vai. Okay. Sa yaha ha vai. Ha is prasiddhi. Prasiddhi. It is well known that sa yoha vai. Ushanha vai. Vajashravasa. We saw that line in what is this? Kathopanishad. Isn't it? Ha vai is, oh really, everybody knows it. Sa yoha vai. Tat param brahma veda. Brahmaiva bhavati. So it is well known that one who knows that Brahman becomes Brahman. So that is what Mundakopanishad says. So Brahmaiva bhavati iti shrutehe, by this shruti also. So that is how it ends. Say this second adhyaya ends. So here the important words are that you have to get out of your mama, aham, mama, ahankara lakshana. That is, we have been discussing earlier also, I have been telling earlier also, a man has so many identities all around him, so many say labels on him. All these labels you have to get rid of. It does not mean a total destruction of personality. It does not mean a destruction of ego. It may mean destruction of ego. It is not destruction of personality. It is actually an expansion of self. You are actually breaking your fetters. The fact that you are a Brahmin, the fact that you are a person, the fact that you are a Hindu, the fact that you are an Indian, all these are fetters. These are all mental fetters which are around us. So what is happening to a Jnani? He is breaking free from these fetters. He is breaking free from these fetters, and his self is expanding. He is seeing his Atman everywhere. So it is not a question of destruction of self, it is a question of expansion of self. So that is what we have to see in the next say khanda also. Because up to this point what we have seen is the first part told about what exactly is Brahma. In the second part, how to know Brahma. So we saw at a very philosophical level, at a purely what we call Paramarthika Dasha, Paramarthika level or absolute level, we saw what is Brahman and how to know it. So now the third khanda, I think there is still a lot of time, I think.
Yes.
So the third khanda we will start. Then in this third part, we are coming to from that absolute level to a transactional level. Because the Shruti also realizes that we know that our Shrutis, there is a structure. There is a two-level teaching rather, not twofold, two-level teaching. One is, it tells you what is the ultimate reality, what is at the Paramarthika level, what is the reality. then it also realizes, Shruti also realizes, or rather the people, the rishis who have seen the society, they also realize that everybody, 99% of the people, they cannot attain that particular stage. They cannot attain that stage. If you stick on to that only, all these social norms, social, the value system, there is what is called a religion, there is what is called a God, there is what is called a belief, there is again a structure called good, bad, dharma, adharma, heaven, hell, and all this structure is there. All this structure will have no meaning. If you are only at that level only, all this structure will say how to maintain this structure. After all, it is this structure which is leading you to that. Without this structure, this Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati stage cannot come. Because unless a person is having that pure mind, unless a person who is, he has gone through all those things like Karma Yoga, Dhyana, this Atma Sanyama Yoga and all these things, then only then he can receive that knowledge, and then he can become Brahma. So becoming Brahma is the ultimate goal of human life, isn't it? That is the Purushartha. Purushartha does not mean Dharma Purushartha, Kama Purushartha and all that. Artha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, they are struck off. They are very much required, of course, at the transactional level, but not at the absolute level. At the absolute level, that Moksha Purushartha, becoming Brahman, knowing Brahman means becoming Brahman. That is the Purushartha, isn't it? So that is the ultimate goal. But then that is not possible for everybody. If you stick on to that, the whole social structure will collapse. So that is why the scripture is making a jump down to from absolute level to transactional level, and then it is giving us some story. It is giving us some story. We also know that we have got a structure in Vedas. What is that? Itihasa Puranabhyam Vedam Samupa Brahmayet. So there is a Vedic concept, let us say. So that the philosophical concept, not Vedic concept, there is a philosophical concept. So that philosophical concept has to be understood by, say, everybody. So for that, it gives a story. It gives an allegorical interpretation to that, or some sort of symbolic way of telling that. So that is what Itihasa and Purana are supposed to do. Itihasa Puranabhyam Vedam Samupa Brahmayet means whatever philosophy is there told at an absolute level, you are handing over that philosophy to the common man in the form of a story. Bhagavatam is an excellent example of this. If we read Bhagavatam, particularly some interpretations by some good writers like Akhandananda Saraswati, who have written the symbolism in that. Akhandananda Saraswati, unfortunately, he has written in English. Unfortunately, I have not seen any good book in English. He has written in Hindi. He has written in Hindi, and I don't think anyone has translated into English. Unfortunately, I have not seen any good book in English. So, anyway, Telugu I have seen one very good book by one writer called Yellamraju Srinivasa Rao, Bhagavata Samrajyamu. You can go to the bookstall and then buy this book, Bhagavata Samrajyamu. That is one excellent book on Bhagavatam, written by one living Telugu writer. He is a very old writer, a very old teacher, a Vedanta teacher. So he has given beautiful interpretation to all these Bhagavatam stories. So a story is not some sort of cock and bull story, and it should not be, our attitude should not be to read unfortunate meanings like what the communists they do. All these communist fellows, what they do, they read peculiar meanings into that. They say it is a fight between Dravidas and Aryas. They say it is a fight between forward castes and backward, scheduled castes. So such stupid meanings are not there. They are not, they just inconceivable. These rascals are giving all those meanings only because we are not reading our books. Only because we are not reading our books, we are not able to explain these things properly. One Yellamraju Srinivasa Rao or one Akhandananda Saraswati, they are not enough. We need hundreds of people every day to tell. Because if we open our TVs, we find some people doing all these pravachans. So these people, they may give very wonderful description of this Puranic story, but then their emphasis should be on the philosophical concept. the philosophical idea behind it. If they cannot convey that philosophical idea, and if they only describe how this, say, Durga, goddess Durga has fought that person, and then how she killed, and then how she did not allow even a drop of blood fall on the ground, etc., etc., then what will that common man think? Oh, all these gods, they are all killers. So that is what common man will think. Our own children will question. So we have to do a lot of hard work. We have to understand some little bit of philosophy. We have to understand some Vedanta. We have to read Bhagavad Gita. We have to read some Upanishad and then understand some Vedanta. And from this Vedantic perspective, we are supposed to see our stories, Puranas. So that is the overall structure which is given to us. So, but unfortunately, the Puranas are being misinterpreted by all types of these communists and all such people. So that is very, very unfortunate. So anyway, when we enter this third Adhyaya, so the third Adhyaya is telling a story. From a philosophical level, we have now come to a religious level. Because we have to realize that in our Indian system, philosophy and religion, these two are blended. So that is what I keep saying. So we have seen philosophy. Now we are seeing the religious level. So Shankaracharya also is giving some comments on that. So I will first tell what Shankaracharya is going to say. So Shankaracharya says that this particular story, the story is very, very simple. The story is all these gods and demons we know. Gods means the good forces in the cosmos. That is, those who are in tune with the cosmic laws, those who follow the cosmic laws, those who implement the cosmic laws, they are the gods. And then those who want to break these cosmic laws, those who want to enjoy, enjoy means those who want, to exploit these cosmic laws and then have personal aggrandizement or personal enjoyment. So these are the demons. Those who want to break these cosmic laws, so they are the demons. There is always a constant tussle between these good forces and bad forces. And then the supreme God. We are not referring to the supreme Brahman. We have now come to the transactional level. At the transactional level, we call it Ishvara, isn't it? We know we have to always remember that fourfold structure. As that Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad says, Soyam Atma Chatushpat. Mandukya, of course, is a very, very complicated text. It will be so it's very difficult to tell. Soyam Atma Chatushpat. There is one mantra in that. This Atma is fourfold. It is not that Atma is actually fourfold. We are just making a visualization in the same Chaitanya. Chaitanya is, of course, it is unbreakable. It is something which cannot be partitioned. But then, just we are tentatively making some sort of partition. So I think I told about, this Omkara, when I was telling about Omkara, I told about Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna, the waking, dream and Sushupti state, and then how they correspond to Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara. So at that time, I just, you can recapitulate, or I can just repeat. So for example, let us not go into Mandukya Upanishad, I will just tell, say the Supreme Brahman. We know that Supreme Brahman is of the nature of pure Sat Chit Ananda. That is Satyam Jnanam Anantam or Sat Chit Ananda. It has nothing to do with any of these, say, cosmic policing and things like that. Then how is it that there is such a wonderful structure? There is some wonderful universe and everything is following a particular code, a particular law, as though starting from an electron right up to the whole cosmos, they are following some pattern. So how is it? So you have visualized what is called one universal overlord, and that universal overlord is what is called Maya Vachinnam Chaitanyam. So we have postulated a concept called Maya, which is that creative force, creative power in the supreme reality, and that manifests in that same Brahman. And this again, in that Brahman only, a particular consciousness develops this notion I. So this Maya Vachinnam Chaitanyam at that level is Ishvara, and then For another level we visualize, which is called Hiranyagarbha, which is the cosmic intellect as we call it. The cosmic intellect. And in that Hiranyagarbha, we visualize all these God forms, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Indra, Rudra, etc., all these God forms we visualize into that. So that is what we have seen in Gita Bhashyam also, and particularly Shankaracharya and also Madhusudana Saraswati, all these commentators, they frequently say Hiranyagarbha, Sarvadevatmakaha. Sarvadevatmaka is referred to Hiranyagarbha several times. That is, in that Hiranyagarbha, say, matrix, let us say, in that Hiranyagarbha matrix only, you visualize all these God forms, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Rudras, Adityas, Vasus, and all these people you visualize. Then this Sthula, if you see the whole cosmic body as a Purusha, the whole cosmos as a Purusha, as a physical entity, that is called Virat. So a human body in his waking state, he is in constant interaction with this external world. So he is with this Virat. So this waking state as Jagrat, it is interacting with the Vishwam. Vishwam means this universe. And then this Vishwam, this Sthula thing is called Virat. We are calling it Virat. Though the same Chaitanyam, you are using different names. So at this Sthula level, you are using the word called Virat. Then Sukshma level, Sukshma Sarira. Sukshma Sarira means say this mind and then this Indriyas. So that is the Sukshma Sarira, the mind and the Indriyas. They are awake in the dream state. The physical body may be sleeping, but then the mind and Indriyas are quite active in the dream state. They produce so many pictures in front of you. So that dream state, it is called Taijasa level, and then that is the cosmic intellect, that is corresponding to that cosmic intellect, Hiranyagarbha we call it. Then the deep sleep, where the Upadhi is only Ajnana. All this distinction is only made because of the distinction in these Upadhis. At the waking level, there is Sthola Sharira, Sushma Sharira, and also Ajnana. At the dream level, there is only this Sthola Sharira is not there, this Sushma Sharira is there, and Ajnana is there. And in deep sleep, this Sthola Sharira and Sushma Sharira both are not there, but only Ajnanam is there. So at that level, the man, he is called Prajna, and that level is called Ishvara. And beyond that is Turiya. Turiya is that supreme reality. That is that Tvampada, Tatpada, Lakshyartha. That is what we say technically. So that is the supreme level. So we have some sort of fourfold distinction. That is, one is Virat, Hiranyagarbha, then Ishvara and Brahma. So this is the structure we make. So when we are referring to this, say this story here, this Brahma which we are referring to this place is that cosmic, say that overlord, not Hiranyagarbha, but above Hiranyagarbha we are visualizing one thing called Ishvara, who is the Karma Phala Pradata. It is because of his rules that all these things are functioning, the whole universe is functioning. So that sort of thing, Karma Phala Pradata, we are visualizing. And the gods and demons, these are all various forces, things which control this universe, various factors in the universe, different cosmic functions, we are calling them gods. So these, when there was a fight between these gods and the demons of course were vanquished because of the will of the god, because it is the divine will that good forces have to survive. So then because of that, these people, they achieve that victory, and then after that victory they feel proud. Oh, it is because of all our strength only, it is because of our own strength we became victorious. Then the Supreme God, he realizes that Ishvara realizes this, and then so he wants to teach them a lesson. So he appears in a particular form, some sort of inexplicable form, Yakshaha. They are not able to see what that form is, but then there is something which is appearing in front of them, but they are not able to see what is that form. And then these people, they go to find out what it is. Then this first Agni goes, okay, I am so and so mighty Agni, I am so valorous, I have so much strength. Okay, that particular entity called Yaksha, it produces a blade of grass. Okay, what is your strength? I can burn anything. Okay, you burn this blade of grass. So this Agni tries his best, he can't burn the blade of grass. then somehow he feels rather insulted, his abhimana, his sense of ego, it drops, and then he comes back. Then next man goes Vayu. Then Vayu says, okay, what is your power? I can shake anything, I can break trees and I can shake the universe also. Okay, you shake this, say, what is this tiny, say, blade of grass. So then this Vayu tries his best, but he can't even shake the tiny blade of grass. Then Vayu also returns. Then it is the turn of Indra. Indra, after all, he is the god. He is the god of all. He is the head of all the gods. He is the king of the gods. So he is slightly wiser than all these people. He goes. By the time he goes, that particular say appearance vanishes, and then Indra he starts searching all around. Then he sees a very beautiful woman there in that say while he was searching, and then he asks her, well, who are you? What is it that I saw now? So she says, what you saw is that Brahma. And then this Uma, this lady, her name is Uma Haimavati. That is what the Upanishad says, and she represents Brahma Vidya. And in the Kenopanishad introductory class, I told you that this Uma is a representation of that Brahma Vidya, and probably this Shakti Sampradaya must have originated after this, or probably the Upanishad has taken into consideration whatever Shakti Sampradaya was already there in society, because it is also possible. So they are telling a story by taking some Sampradaya which is already there in society, or maybe that Sampradaya might have emanated from this story. We do not know because of the antiquity of this entire thing. So that Uma Haimavati, she represents Brahma Vidya, she symbolizes Brahma Vidya. So she tells him that this is Brahman. Then Indra is the first person who has seen that Brahman. So Indra, he comes and then he comes back, and then their ego is subdued. So that is the moral of the story. So the basic point is that ego has to be subdued. The basic point is that ego should not be there. If you are having that ego, if you are having your own defining, say all these defining, say adjectives, you cannot attain Brahman. Only after subduing all these things you can know, you can understand Brahman. So should we go into the text?
Yes.
So here Shankaracharya says, the points he makes is, the Upanishad has earlier talked about Nirguna Brahma, and then it also talked about told about the way to attain it. Now he says it is talking about this Sagunopasana, because this Nirgunopasana is not possible for everybody, and this Sagunopasana is for the Madhyamadhikari. For the Uttamadhikari or the highest level thinker, the philosophical level, it is different. For an ordinary man, he is a Mandadhikari or a Madhyamadhikari. This Sagunopasana is prescribed. Because earlier we have seen Nedam Yadidam Upasate, all these things you worship, this is all nonsense, it said. But now the same Upanishad is saying, okay, you do this. This is the funny thing we see. Because on one hand you are saying Nedam Yadidam Upasate, that is at the supreme level, at the absolute level. Now from that absolute level the Upanishad has come down to the ordinary level for the sake of ordinary man, and it says, okay, you do this Upasana. So from that Nirguna to Saguna, then Nedam Yadidam Upasate, that is now replaced by Saguna Upasana. Then he also says, or the Akhyayika may be to praise this Brahma Vidya, basically to extol the greatness of Brahma Vidya. Then it is also about to tell that this whole scheme of this Kartrutva, Bhoktrutva are only at a transactional level. Kartrutva means doership. Bhoktrutva, enjoyer. I am doing this karma, I am achieving this, I am doing this, I am achieving this. All this is structure, the whole structure of dharma, adharma, etc. and all this achievement of various lokas, all these lokas, they are all at the transactional level. So that is what it says. So this is what we have to see, that is Shankaracharya explains. I think we can go into the text now. Trutiya Khandaha. Avijñātam Vijānatam. Vijñātam Avijānatam. Ityādi Shravanāt. Yadasti tad Vijñātam Pramānaihi. Yan nasti tad avijñātam.
यन्नास्ति तदविज्ञातम्
शशविषाणकल्पं
शशविषाणकल्पम्
अत्यन्तमेव असद् दृष्टम्
अत्यन्तमेव असदृष्टम्
तथा इदं ब्रह्म
तथा इदं
ब्रह्म अविज्ञातत्वात्
अविज्ञातत्वात्
असदेव इति
असदेव इति
मन्दबुद्धीनां व्यामोहो मा भूत् इति
मन्दबुद्धीनां व्यामोहो मा भूत् इति
तदर्थ इयम् आख्यायिका आरभ्यते.
तदर्थ इयमाख्यायिका आरभ्यते.
Good. So he is referring to the earlier line, avijñātam vijānatam vijñātam avijānatam. So the same thing. That says avijñātam vijānatam. One who says I know it quite well. How does he know? He is knowing it as idam. A person who says I know it well, he knows it as idam. He knows it as some mental construct. He knows it as some book. He knows it as something which has been written by somebody saying that, oh, this God is like this, and then heaven is like this, hell is like this. All these things is a visualization by the mind. So all that is idam. So nedam yadidam upasate, isn't it? So referring to that, avijñātam vijānatam, vijñātam avijānatam. So it is known to people who really do not know. That means who do not have that idam buddhi in that. So ityadi shravanat, that is by listening to such sentences, an intelligent man may understand it properly. But a dull-witted man, he may think, no, it is something which is not there at all. You see, if it is there, it will be known. If it is not there only, it will not be known. If it is there, jolly well, it will be known. Because we are also intelligent people, we have got this mind, indriyas and all that, we can cognize. So that is what an ordinary man may think. So ityadi shravanat, yad asti tad vijñātam pramanaihi. If at all there is something, it is vijñātam pramanaihi. All these pramanas are there. We know what are these pramanas. Pratyaksha, anumana, upamana, etc., etc. All these pramanas are there. That is in English. Pratyaksha is perception, direct perception by the indriyas. Then anumana, inference. Then upamana, comparison. Then shabda, that is called Veda. So many, then say arthapatti, etc. The arthapatti is correct word, of course. Anyway, I am not getting. Anyway, all these are pramanas. So yat nasti tad avijñātam. Whatever is not there, naturally you will not be able to know. Shashavishana kalpam. It is something which is something like the hair of a horn. Shashavishanam is one word which we commonly get in Vedanta. Shasha means a rabbit or a hare. H-A-R-E, hare. Vishana means a horn. Shashavishana, a rabbit does not have horns. So you are only using some words, but then it actually does not exist in reality. So something which is what Patanjali Yoga Sutra has a beautiful word for that. Shabdagyānānupāti vastu shunyaha. He says, Shabdagyānānupāti. You are only using some words, saying that flower in the sky, Shabda is there. These Shabdas, they do convey a meaning. But then the Vastu is not there, the object is not there. Shasha Vishana, you say that horn of a hare. Then it is not there. It is not there at all. Similarly, a flower in the sky, it is not there. Shabdagyānānupāti. This Shabdagyāna, you are visualizing something. Vastu shunyaha, the Vastu is not there. So that is what he says. So like that, Shashavishana kalpam. Kalpam means it is comparable. It is comparable to that. Then Atyantameva asat drushtam. This is totally, it does not exist at all. So we are going to this asadvada. It is not there at all. It is totally shunyam. There is nothing totally, it is not there at all. Then tatha idam brahma. So we read this. Tatha idam brahma means likewise, this brahma avijñātatvat asadeva. Because it is not known. So it is only asat. So this is a pure materialist's view. He is repeating. So avijñātatvad asadeva. If it were to be there, we would have cognized. So because we are not able to cognize, avijñātatvat means because we are not able to cognize, because it is not known, then asadeva, it is non-existent. Iti mandabuddhinam vyamoho mabhut. Let fools do not delude themselves like that. Very strong expression by Shankaracharya. Mandabuddhinam vyamoha. Vyamoha is delusion. Let these dull-witted people not have any delusion like that. Mabhut. Mabhut means let there not be. Mabhut. Let there not be any delusion for these dull-witted people. Then tadartha yam akhyayika. Tadartha means for that purpose. Tadartha yam akhyayika. This story is arabhyate. Arabhyate means it is being started. This narrative is starting like this. Then let us read. Tadeva hi Brahma
तदेव हि ब्रह्म
sarvaprakareణ prashastru
सर्वप्रकारेण प्रशास्त्रु
devanamapi paro devah
देवानामपि परो देवः
devanamapi paro devah
देवानामपि परो देवः
ईश्वराणामपि परमेश्वरः
ईश्वराणामपि परमेश्वरः
दुर्विज्ञेयः
दुर्विज्ञेयः
देवानां जयहेतुः
देवानां जयहेतुः
असुराणां पराजयहेतुः
असुराणां पराजयहेतुः
तत् कथं नास्ति
तत् कथं नास्ति
इत्येतस्य अर्थस्य
इत्येतस्य अर्थस्य
अनुकूलानि ह्युत्तराणि वचांसि दृश्यन्ते.
अनुकूलानि ह्युत्तराणि वचांसि दृश्यन्ते.
Okay. So in fact, here of course Shankaracharya in this Padabhashyam, he has very briefly mentioned this particular subject. Here he is trying to establish by countering all these materialists and these Shunyavadis, he is trying to establish that for so many reasons you cannot deny the presence of Brahman. There is, it is not Asat, it is Sat. Brahman exists. So in that Vakya Bhashya there is a very elaborate discussion on that. Because we are not reading that Vakya Bhashya, I am not going into that. But here of course very simply he has stated. What? Tadeva hi Brahma sarva prakarena prashastru. This Brahman is something which is Brahma in every manner. Sarva prakarena prashastru. Prashastru means prashasta. Prashastru is say the Pratipadika word. Prashasta is Prathama Ekavachanam. So Prashasta means one who is the ruler. Prashasta, Prakarshena Shasti iti Shasta, isn't it? Shasti iti Shasta, one who rules is called Shasta. Prashasta, Prakarshena, Pra is only an Upasarga. Sarva Prakarena Prashastru. That is, this is the thing which controls the whole universe. Sarva Prakarena. Then Devanami Paro Devaha. And this is above all these manifestations, all these cosmic functions which we are calling Devas. Various cosmic functions we are calling Devas because they are again, that is again Chaitanya only. One manifestation of Chaitanya in a particular fashion we are calling it a Deva. In another particular fashion we are calling it another Deva. In another fashion you are giving another name called so many Agni Deva, Varuna Deva, some other Vayu Deva, etc. etc. These are all various manifestations of the same Chaitanya. So Devanamapi Paro Deva. For all these there is one supreme thing, there is one supreme ruler. Then Ishwaranamapi Parameshwaraha. For various rulers, he is the supreme ruler. Ishwaranam. Isha means to rule. Isha actually means to rule, to lord over. So Ishwaranamapi Parameshwaraha. He is lording over all other smaller lords. So like that, lords. Durvigneyaha. Very difficult to understand. Dukkhena Vigneyaha. Durvigneyaha. That is very difficult to understand. Then Devanam Jayahetuhu. He is the cause for the victory of the right forces. Right forces means there are forces which are in tune with the cosmic laws. There are certain forces which want to go against the cosmic laws and aggrandize themselves or enjoy themselves. So those are different. So this is the supreme reality or the supreme God will be interested in maintaining this cosmic order. So naturally he has to favor these forces which are in tune with the cosmic norms or cosmic rules. So Devanam Jayahetuhu. He is the cause for the victory of these Devas. Deva you understand metaphorically. Then Asuranam cha Parajayahetuhu. He is the cause for the defeat of Asuras. Asuras means the negative forces. Then Tat Katham Nasti Ityetasya Arthasya Anukulani Hyuttarani Vachamsi Drishyante. Tat Katham Nasti. How can you deny the existence of such a entity? You cannot deny the existence of such an entity. Ityetasya arthasya anukulani uttarani vachamsi. So the later passages which follow, uttarani vachamsi means the later passages which are following, they imply this. All these later passages, they are going to say or they are going to suggest, they are going to establish the existence of a particular supreme ruler who is in charge of all this cosmic structure. So this whole cosmic law, all the cosmic laws. So that is what we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.